What is going on, YouTube? I'm back after a couple weeks. I was down at Arena running the JP rifles in the arena by Hunter Constantine and Belt. It went off this last weekend, and I've been scratching my head trying to figure out what type of video to make on this. This was my first time as a match director on a major match, so I thought about making a video on that. But if you were there, you know, you know. So I don't think it's a good plan right now. I may do like later on as I have time to decompress on it a little bit more. I may make a video on like big lessons learned from first time match director. That'd probably be a better video. So instead of doing that, since I like to make videos on the matches I attend and my thoughts on those, I'm gonna do that for my own match because that's what's fair. Okay, so we're gonna go through the stages as I shot them with staff. Well, I shot 9 of them with staff, and then 3 of them I shot essentially after the match, or I was the last one to shoot all 3 of those stages just because of the way things went down, and I will cover some of that in my thoughts, right? And you know, things I should have done better as a match director, but stuff like that. So staff started on Thursday, April 30th. We were kind of late getting going, in my opinion, which was frustrating for me. But we'll go from there. So we started on what was stage 7. Stage 7 is a modification of a classifier. And we had made some small adjustments of it, but it was pretty good. So here we go. We'll check it out here. This was a medium course. So those targets there are around 45 yards. I could have got some more distance on the bay, depending on where I put this stage. You see I had plenty of room on the other side. I think hindsight being 2020, I would have moved it over there to get a little more distance. But it went well. People actually really liked this stage. I shot it okay. I shot the match like crap. This stage I shot okay. But in general, I shot the match like crap, which I think is required in state law that match directors are supposed to shoot like crap. But yeah, just a nice little medium course, super fast. Had mix of some offhand, longer range. Like I said, they were 40, 45 yards, not super close. And then some up close, fast with a little bit of movement. That was stage 7. AJ Anthony had the overall win on that one. Shot it in 8 seconds, which is blazing, or under 8 seconds. And then Kyle Litzy and Brian Nelson came in second and third. But it was pretty. They were pretty close, but like I said, AJ just smoked that thing. Looks like he smoked it largely due to alpha count and a little bit due to time. He wasn't that much faster than Kyle or Brian Nelson, but his alpha count was significantly higher. All right, so from there we will go to stage 8. And wait a second, that's the wrong one. No, that was right. Yeah, so we had to throw out 2 stages, which is throwing me off a little bit in practice score because the way they're numbered, which is right, but it's throwing me off. But it's correct. All right, so stage 8 was a retreat stage. And I'm going to be honest about some stuff here as I go through. Stage 8 got busted. So it got turned into a one-step stage. So I missed some stuff in it. There were some easy adjustments. Could have kept it from being a one-step stage, but I missed it in my stage build. So the pros turned it into a one-step stage. So it was designed as a retreat stage, and I was trying to force the competitors to stop in the middle and engage. And so when I built it, I knew the one on the left was visible from the back, so I thought the one on the right, they would have to stop and engage that. And then they figured out, because they walked it different than we did, that if there was still an angle, if they shot up across the back, took a step forward, they could engage the one on the right through the vehicle. There were still people that shot it this way, but it's just kind of the way it went. So here we go on stage 8. So there's a retreat. That's where they did not stop. And then they kept going back. That one you can see from anywhere. That one there I knew I had a keyhole shot on. And then to this. A really quick little short course retreat stage. Again, felt bad when I saw how the super squad level dudes were shooting it because they just ran to the back, shot all 5 targets, which was absolutely not the intent for this stage. There were some questions on that one with the start position, so we tried to use IPSC start positions. And could you turn and look behind you or not? And that's where kind of frustrating, man. This is really off to the side. kind of frustrating on the start positions on what was and wasn't allowed. Like I said, that stage got pretty much burned down. AJ Anthony had, nope. Varick had the win on that one. He shot it with all alphas, and that was pretty much the identifier. Some people shot it faster or really close. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 people within 4 tenths of a second on each other. So it turned into accuracy, which I honestly think is pretty good. I think that's a pretty good testament to the stage if it's that tight. I don't know. That's my opinion. All right. So next one is stage 9. So stage 9 adjusted from what I had built to when we got there. So when my range master got on ground, he was excited about the assignment to try to shoot IPSC in the multi-gun sphere. So I'm going to put a picture up here about where the stage was originally built. The stage was built on the high side of the bay, and it was shorter distance. I think it was set up about 30 yards. IPSC kind of has these rules where they want you to, like, a certain percentage of the targets over 100, a certain percentage between 50 and 100, and then a certain percentage under 50. So in an effort to get more targets in the 50 to 100 range, we adjusted 2 stages. This is one of the stages we adjusted. This one didn't hurt my feelings as much because you were going to take a knee. I didn't love the way we constructed the box afterwards because I think it was different than everything else, which caused confusion, right? When everything is the same in the match, competitors know what's going on. So that's a knock on me for not sticking to my guns. He and I had different ways we build stages, and when I built the other 11 stages, they all looked the same, and this one looked different, which caused confusion. It was legal the way it was shot. I emailed Troy, so it was legal the way it was shot. But this was this is a modified classifier. You can't shoot Virginia count. You can't be very prescriptive in a level 2 and a multi-gun. So this had to be the way it was written was they shot best single hit on target from the first port and then dropped to the second port and best single hit on target. This is one where most of us just braced. I don't know if any of the GM level folks used their kneeling bipods on this one. I think that port was kind of funky. But we'll pull it up here now and watch it. Yeah, I think this one got it. A few people kind of tripped up. AJ Anthony overall stage 1 on this one. Kyle Litzy second. Duncan Klein, who I don't think finished the match third. So there must have been some other issues. I know some people had some gun issues, but fast and clean was the way to go. AJ Anthony shot that in 11.20. 3 other 11.2s, and then it was just Alpha Charlie count. That was what really separated folks out. So quick stages. These short courses are kind of interesting. I think if I had to do it again with the way USPSA is going right now, I would not worry about showing what rifle classifiers could look like, and I would just shoot stages. I would just build more fun stages. But the people liked it. The IPSC folks liked it. They said, yeah, that was kind of a different challenge, and we were good. All right, stage 10 got thrown out of the match because it was too muddy. You can go check out Joe Farewell's Instagram. But bottom line is it was 4 inches of mud and water. And I've got to post up on Instagram about why it's built where it is. I could have built it on the higher side of the bay, but there's a pile of trash there that I wasn't sure what would happen if rounds struck it. I didn't want people walking through it. But this was kind of a fun little stage. I did have a makeup shot here, but it was just kind of a stand anywhere. So I shot a makeup here. Ended up not needing that. Like I was in by like a 1/4 of an inch, but I called a hardcover hit on that one and shot a makeup. All right. So that one, like I said, that was not in practice score because it's not in practice score because it got thrown out. Stage 11 was the other one that we modified after the range master got on ground. This is the one I actually really feel bad about. I don't know that it would have made a difference wherever I built this thing, given the weather we had on Saturday. It was supposed to let up around 9. I haven't looked. I think it probably rained 1.5 inches, 2 inches overnight. So there was nothing I was going to do that was going to dry it out. But because it pretty much rained from 9 o'clock Friday night until it precipitated until almost noon on Saturday in some form. The heavy stuff came down overnight, but it was where I was really sick to when I looked at the radar that night. The storm went all the way from Georgia through the entirety of Texas, and it just came straight across us. So there was, um, the shooting, the gods of the shooting world saying, "F you, Bob Stone, your match is going to be muddy." So that's how it went. The people that shot the main match will see some differences. We had some, I guess, because we painted the bottom of the in my video you'll see the bottom of the table is painted orange, and people were like, well, that means it's shooting area because it's shooting lunges, so we had to repaint them black, whatever. Table is outside the shooting area, so you couldn't use it, and you started seated on a chair, unloaded rifle bolt back. Here we go.
Hi.
Oh, and you had to have 4 hits on each target with the mandatory reload in the middle. I did get carried away here. My stage planning was horrible. Like I said, I had 5 shots there, and I was like, oh wait, that was 5. I only got a hit 4. Didn't love my reload, but it also wasn't horrible. On this day when it was dry, people were like kind of dumping a mag and having it right there. The next day with it muddy, that was not the plan to go with. You wanted a clean mag when you went. All right, so that was like I said, just a different position. That was kind of an ended up being an Ipsy stage. When I originally had it built, we built it at like 20 yards, so you could have shot it offhand, which I honestly think would have been spicier and would have created a little more separation. So as it is, 1, 2, 3, 4 people above 90%. Kyle Litzy won it. AJ Anthony was right behind him. Then Joe, then Varick, and they were all less than a second separating them. And honestly, it was, one Charlie was what was separating people. So it was those slashers that was separating people. So, which I think for what the match is, I was talking to some of the GM level people. There are 10 people probably with the carrier rifle that are trying to make the U.S. Open team. And for those 10 people, this match was super, super important. And the follow-on matches are also going to be super important. But for everyone else, they just went and had fun. So for stage 12, I was like the second shooter, and I did not get my camera on. So I got to have a third-person video of it. This was the only stage not named after a rap song, but this was a lesson learned from me last year at Multi-Gun Nationals. Stand and deliver on steel. So this was just a 60-yard plate rack with 2 paper to give us some point separation. And it did not, in my mind, as the match director, it did not disappoint. So here we go. I was happy with my performance. It's pretty slow. Those first 3 were mics there. And then once I figured my life out, I started dropping steel pretty quick. I think I went 1 for 1 on steel after I figured my life out. And then what I did do wrong was I was too quick on the paper. I should have shot more alphas on the paper. So Varick absolutely smoked that stage. He was just under 8 seconds. And then AJ Anthony was next at 10.12. Varick had 2 Charlies, 8 alphas. The next 3, AJ, Lee Pulley, and Brian Nelson, were all alphas, so double alphas on the far paper. But Varick still put 15% into the field, which is significant, I think, on a short course. He had 100. AJ Anthony was at 85%. So kind of a flip for multi-gun last year, where AJ Anthony put 10% to everybody on the rifle stage. But that was kind of what I was going for with that stage. Then we went to bed and woke up on Friday. It was a little more overcast. And we started on stage 1. And on Friday, we had 4 people that were shooting through. 2 of them were trying to make the World Shoot team. And then Bob McInnes and James, I'm going to mess up James' last name. So like I said, they came up from Florida, just wanted to support the club and shoot the match. So we let them shoot through on Friday because they had some other stuff to do over the weekend. But it was super awesome to see them come up and shoot with us. Let me find my right spot here. All right, so stage 1. I wouldn't say stage 1 got busted by the pros, but Justine certainly found a loophole in it right away. So my plan was to force shoot a build 3 long range positions, and the pro level folks figured out how to do it in 2. And I was good with this because I don't have the skills to shoot the targets they shot from the position they figured out. So I think if you have to be a super squad level person to get the hits you want from the position they figured out, it was good. So as we hit go here, and this was a longer stage, as I hit play, come on, there we go. It was a seated, unloaded start. You ran up and grab your rifle, and I built the stage to use those belts. What the pro level folks figured is if you went outside of that piece of wood right there, it opened up the swinger and the other steel that I had thought would have been shot from the middle position. If you hit the middle position, then you could get an extra shot on a paper that was out there, but you had to essentially build 2 kneeling positions in, so it consumed a bunch of time. I don't feel like they broke it. I feel like they did what pros do. They found a loophole, and honestly, I'm really happy with how the stage went out. Most of them said it was probably the most IPSC stage I built. So happy about that. Happy that Hunter Constantine supported us, and I got to build that cool belt contraption. Kyle Litzy won this stage in 33 seconds. AJ and Joe were under 35, and then it went up pretty quick from there to over 40 seconds. A lot of mics, a lot of alphas, a lot of deltas. Hard to see on the film, but there was a 250 meter paper, which I think people were calling 268, 270 something. It was out there. And if you're taking it kind of, pinned on the outside, bottom line, good stage, 100-yard swinger. It was fun. Stage 2 is the other stage that nobody got to shoot because it was just swamped. And I'll put a picture of it up here. I knew if it rained hard, I was going to lose that stage. I had seen that the last match I was out there, and I'm sad that people lost it. I shot this the slow way when I had AMU out the Monday prior. Some AMU guys, they all shot it prone from the truck, so we adjusted the steel a little bit, and then a lot of folks were running to that culvert right there in the middle of going prone. If you did that, what you can't see on here is there's a target back in the back through a aperture and a bunker, and if you did that, you lost most of the aim. Some of the guys, at least on the staff squad that shot it, tried that, and then they were skipping off the bunker and missing, which was what I wanted, right? If you try to eliminate this first position in the back of the truck, then you're taking a risk and risking ricochets and complete mics on paper, which is what they had. As it turned out, I tried to kind of sit and put my elbows on my knees. It did not work out well. I tried something. By this point, I knew it wasn't going to be a great match, so it was fine. Pulled it up on the wrong way, kind of ahead of my ass kind of stage. But it is what it is when you're the match director. There was one steal that you had a clean shot on from the middle. From the truck, you had a partial. The guys that ran up to the front had a good shot. These were quick, and then there were 3 steel and 2 paper that you could only see from this final position here. Some people were trying to use bipods in the staff shoot up on that wall, and it was giving them trouble. I really wish we could have shot this stage. 1, it was a lot of points. It was the other long course, and then 2, I think it was a really cool stage. I really like this bay. It's the first thing that you lose when it rains at Arena. Some of the folks that have shot out there a lot have said that they've never gotten that stage has always gotten thrown out when they've shot out there because that bay goes down so often. So I'm going to work with the staff and see if we can figure out a way to clean out the drainage so that it stays open a little more. And I've got a video on that bay on Arena's Instagram if you're super worried about it. All right. So on to stage 3. So stage 3 was the last stage I shot. I did not shoot it well. I had a mic on steel. This was the other one that you could say the pros broke. I knew what they did was an option. I just didn't think they would do it. So the way the stage was designed, you had kind of shooting areas left and right, really narrow in the middle to keep people in the area in the shooting zone. But you couldn't, not enough room to build a shooting position given the rule set we were using. I thought people would start on the right side, shoot two alphas on the hidden 100-yard target, and then move left and go prone. What people ended up doing was just going prone immediately, taking the Delta Charlie risk on the 100 you could barely see, and then moving on. The other thing that was cool on this stage, as I rolled through it here, was the shooting area was only about 6 feet deep. So like with my bipod all the way back in the rifle, pushed up against the forward fault line, my knees were on the rear fault line, so I had to shoot with my feet up in the air. Some people were kind of doing a curve, but bottom line, it was not a clean sprawl prone position. So it was a good position. This had 2 paper at 100, 2 paper at 300, 1 steel at 100, 4 more steel between 100 and 200, 6 steel between 200 and 300 to include some 10 by 10 squares that were a little bit spicy for some folks. And then I gave them a big steel out of 300 to get a good wind call on. I thought it was a really cool stage. We had a little bit of issues with flashers on this. We're using the Hornady flashers, but for the most part, things worked just fine. Yep.
All right, whatever gets hit.
I didn't shoot that well. Kyle absolutely smoked that stage, 28 seconds. Varick was right behind him in 30. And then it kind of went up from there. Some people in the mid 30s, Wydell, Brian Nelson, Joe Farewell. This was what was interesting, and again, those guys taking the Delta hits. Kyle Litzy, 2 deltas, Varick a delta, John Wydell a delta, Brian Nelson 3 deltas, Joe Farewell 3 deltas, right? So all those guys took the deltas to save time. So for me as a match director, I learned that got to make a move. There was discussion pre-match about putting walls out there to force a move. I didn't want to do that. I think the modern 3-gun rifle game, all this stuff is about options. So give them options and let them figure out what they want to do. And there was a lot of discussion about how to shoot this. There were a lot of lower class shooters that weren't comfortable with the deltas starting on one side, going across. It was what it was. All right. Some people really liked stage 4. Some people didn't like stage 4. I will say that I executed it properly. Nobody got all the hits. So stage 4 was a fixed time stage. Again, had the AMU guys out. I originally had it at 5 seconds. I bumped it to 7. Nobody shot it perfect. John Wydell shot 2 Charlies, so he got 46 points. And then from there were 1, 2, 3, 4 people that shot 4 Charlies. So it did its job, right? It made people move faster than they wanted to. The Super Squad level people, I shot it wrong, by the way. My plan was to bookend it because I knew I couldn't build all 3 positions in time, and then I had had a hit my butt. By this point in time, registration was over, and I knew I was missing it. I was frustrated, so after this, I walked up the range and went back and did registration.
It's finished.
Because nobody else was going to do it. And got that up and running. So it was what it was. Like I said, I think you either like a fixed time stage or you don't like a fixed time stage. For a fixed time stage, it was executed correctly. Just a lot of people don't like them. And I understand. But for me, it was learning how to use that range. I'm going to have to get in there sometime on a weekend and play with the computer and see what I can and can't do with those targets. Because there's movers, there's turners. Not everything was working. There was an air leak. It was all kinds of messes. But it was still fun. Okay, we went 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, that was John Wydell, AJ, Kyle Litzy, Tony Mazza, Lee Pulley. So again, and then Joe Farewell was right there at number 6. I know Varick had a pop no click on this one, or excuse me, click no pop on this one. So he had which cost him a second of clearing a round in a 7-second stage is a lot. So he did not have a good score on that stage. Stage 5, again, I shot this Sunday. I was the last one in the match to shoot it. This is another short course, but again, I was surprised at the good separation we had. It was an accuracy under speed event, real simple, 5 targets. You can see 3 of them from either side. You decide where to stand and shoot. So most righties started left, shot 2 targets, moved right, and then shot 3 targets. Lefties would have shot it the opposite way. I saw some people try to do a lean around the wall, and my wall got chewed up a little bit. Varick won that stage. He had 1 Charlie. Joe was right behind him, 0.2 seconds behind him, and a Charlie behind him. And then Kyle Litzy shot at 9 alphas and a Charlie, but he was 0.8 seconds behind Varick. So interesting to kind of see the strengths and weaknesses, the movement versus gun manipulation versus all those things playing out in the stage. And then as I figured, I'm going to throw it up here, the most popular stage in the match, but yet the least IPSC stage was the shoot house. I'll talk through it as we get going here. I shot this decent as far as time goes. The fastest times were in the mid 20s. I see 26, 24, 25, 25, 26. I shot it in like 31. So for me, that was pretty good. One of the questions that was asked, so you stepped on a thing, you had a clamshell at the end. That was an option. Some people took it as it was coming up. Some people waited till it came up and took it from 2 foot positions further. Some people didn't like all the hard cover. So what you can't see in here is behind those walls, they're steel, and then that's like particle board. I put the hard cover on there to make people slow down and aim so that they would hit the bullet catches. The bullet catches they do just that. They catch bullets. If you miss the bullet catch, then I'm relying, I've got steel, bullet hitting a steel wall is protected by particle board. I'm worried about ricochets. So that's why I did it. I really want to run this thing as like a 3-gun stage, with some shotgun and rifle outdoors, shotgun outdoors, pistol and rifle indoors. And then I can actually get up on some stuff and maybe get some long range rifle. I don't know. They built a wall that makes it really weird now. But that was absolutely the most popular stage in the match, which was the least IPSC. So that was the end of that. Stage 6, like I said, Varick won that. It was the alpha count, 29 alphas, 3 Charlies. AJ was almost 2 seconds faster, but had 22 alphas and 10 Charlies. So regardless of what people think, I think it was a good test of speed and accuracy. All right, so overall thoughts on the match. So we fed competitors lunch both days, and then Friday night and Saturday night we had dinner in the pro shop. All right. In general, I think lunch went well. The full-time staff there, Robert Brantley and his kids delivered lunch to everybody. I know I had some ROs that got a late lunch on Sunday, but other than that, I think it went well. Most people liked the food. It was pretty decent. It was light. It wasn't super greasy. It was also not what I published in the menu, and that was a communication between the staff and I. The weather. It rained a lot Friday night, and I told people it was going to rain. It was going to be muddy. We did have one car get stuck. We got that car out we had a tractor there, but it was a Mustang, so there was nothing to hook up to, so they were able to push it out. The weather was the weather. I think other than, like I was out there today, it's Tuesday. I was out there today picking some stuff up, and it's gorgeous out there. Everything's shootable. So really frustrating that, one range storm shuts it down. I don't know that I'll use, I love that 200-yard bay with all the obstacles in it. I don't know that I'll use it again in a major, if I run under a major. And if I do, it will not be one of 2 long courses. That's on me as a match director, knowing that was, if I lost a stage, that would be the first stage I lost. So my bad. Overall, the facilities out there are great. Like, most people haven't shot out there since 2014, 2015 time frame, or whenever 3-Gun Nation was out there, might have been 17, 18, and they've done a lot of work out there, specifically in the long range game. PRS used to be out there. It might be coming back. I don't know. We'll see. But the facilities are great. There's tons more stuff I can use out there. Just as my first match, I kept it as simple as I could with the least movement as possible around the range. That is the one risk, is as we start to use more of the property, one, I would have lost the 0 on the UKD if we'd have gone out, because you can't shoot all that at the same time. And then 2, we're just running more risk of people getting stuck, and it makes it hard to communicate. Comms are pretty bad out there. on the UKD. So the entire weekend, the unknown distance, the UKD was set up as a zero range. So we had 50 and 100-yard paper, and then we had steel at 2 and 3. The ground dips and comes back up around 450, 5, and 6. So even when people weren't shooting, Sunday we did kind of we had a waterfall to start in on Sunday. People went out there with extra ammo to make sure and just worked, confirmed dope and things like that. So I think it's a great use. People love that. I also had a plate rack set up, a 50-yard plate rack that was only available Friday. I had one person whose opinion I don't really care about anymore tell me that I was letting people practice the stage. I disagreed and ran it, and nobody else complained. What I would have done, we did not let people shoot that on Friday or Saturday and Sunday. What I would have done in hindsight, because we were shooting in there, is put up some small static steel, and let people shoot at that. We did have a couple people lose zero, dropped guns, stuff like that. So I would have enabled some zero operations in there if I could have. So that's bad on me. Check-in and inspection. With this being an IPSC match, you're supposed to inspect the equipment, and that went over kind of like a crap show. Once again, if you know how things went for me this weekend, I was not supposed to be the one doing it because I had to do many, many other things. So I felt bad because people had to bring their guns in 1 or 2 times or sit around the pro shop waiting for half an hour while I got back from running an errand to do something to inspect their guns. And then some people thought I shouldn't be the one inspecting guns, but whatever. At the end of the day, the only thing that we did have a couple people show up with suppressors, which is on them. They did not know you couldn't shoot a USPSA match with a suppressor. So we let them shoot the match. We left their scores up for 3 or 4 hours, and then we deleted their scores before it got submitted to USPSA. And then the other thing was I only caught one of those during walkthroughs, or during inspection. The other thing was bipods, and we only had maybe 2 bipods. Some people were kind of like, hey, it's got a Finland sticker on it. And I'm like, I get it, but we're trying to treat everybody the same. At the end of the day, it's a functions check and a quick measurement of the gun on the bipod. So it was fine. Last thing was all the adjustments. So because of the rain, I sent updated squad matrices both Friday night and Saturday night. I think both nights I had a misfire, which is on me. I think Saturday night I accidentally sent the link to the matchbook instead of the squad matrix, and then that was Friday night. And then Saturday night I sent a squad matrix out, and then someone's like, no, we already shot that stage. So then I reworked it real quick and sent another one. By and large, everybody was getting those emails, but at least one person was confused. So yeah, I'm my own worst critic. So there are 100 things I would do different and tighten up. And if I could, I'd put it all in a dome and keep it from raining because that's a great facility. I'll run majors out there again. I think it's a great facility. I think the potential is massive out there. We'll see how it goes. I'd love to hear feedback from people on what you thought. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, YouTube. Bye.